Hey YouTube, listen, I thought I'd make one more video before I turn in. I got I've been seeing a lot of videos on, you know, Tibet, and boycotting the Beijing Olympics and all that stuff. And I'd just like to put in some support to the Chinese, because, I have been to China. I've taught English in China last year, and I'm hoping to go this summer, with this group called Tesla International. I just want to say, for those who don't know anything about Chinese history, shut up about it. Tibet having independence. Because Tibet has always been, okay, at one point or another, a part of China. Okay? Tibet was founded by the Chinese. Alright? It was only because of, the Dalai Lama that, Tibet was declared, some kind of separate entity from China. And, to the people who haven't actually been to Tibet, I just want you to know that, there are actually more people outside Tibet supporting Tibetan independence than there are inside Tibet. Okay? Most Tibetans, you know what they have hanging on their wall? It ain't no picture of the Dalai Lama. Yeah, no, it isn't. It's Mao Zedong, the guy who masterminded the Tibetan invasion in the 1950s, okay? Okay, now you might be wondering, why do they have a picture of Mao Zedong? The man was a communist after all. He did do a lot of nasty shit to Tibetans, and that's true. But at the same time, the way that the Tibetans were living, okay, were beyond third world poverty standards at the time, okay? They were living in a Buddhist theocracy complete with live beheadings, beatings of wife beating, persecution of non-Buddhists, persecution of non-Tibetans, having the fucking communist Chinese take over, despite, the fact that they were communists was a blessing to them, people think, Saudi Arabia is bad or whatever, for being like Wahhabi Muslim state. Believe me, the Tibet in the past was far worse than that. Okay? And, all these dumbasses, that support Tibetan independence, you're pretty much supporting terrorism and separatism. Is that really what you want to be looked at in the world? That is pretty much what you're doing. You're supporting separatism. Separatism usually, more often than not, breeds terrorism. Anybody who's seen what's happened with the latest, country or states that have wanted to secede, Chechnya, Bosnia, Kosovo, just a bunch of these countries or whatever are now pretty much failed states. They're either failed state. If they're not failed states, they're pretty much puppets of one world power or another. And I, for one, do not support separatism of any kind, regardless of how noble it is, because you know what it ends up doing. Even if you are doing a noble cause, according to you, by seceding from your former homeland. You know what? What's going to stop the not so, the not so righteous people, from wanting to split, and form their own territory and whatnot? If enough separatism continues or whatever, what are you going to have? You're going to have a shitload of, small independent states or whatever, running around, and that's very dangerous in the modern era. You can't be doing that shit right now, because that leads to fucking, that's going to bring the world back to fucking tribalism, and who wants that? Okay? And, it's the same reason why I don't support, like the Lakota movement, for example. I am part Cherokee. I'm not Lakota, but I am part Native American. But at the same time, I don't support the Lakota independence movement. Why? Because it's going to give the people like fucking Branch Dravidian. It's going to give people like the Atslan, separatists. It's going to give all these, extremist bastards, an excuse to try and commit terrorism to secede from the U.S. You know, and it's the same thing with Tibet. You know, and Dalai Lama, you know, he can make as many excuses that he wants, but you know, he is in support of a theocracy, pretty much. If people read half the things that Dalai Lama has said and would like to do when he takes power, if he ever were to take control of Tibet again, you know, you'd probably drop your support of him in a heartbeat. You know, I've read some of the articles on what he would like to do to homosexuals, or what he thinks of homosexuals, and what he thinks of people who commit anal sex, and you know, that sort of stuff. And it really isn't that far off from you know, anything the average Wahhabi Muslim would say. You know. So anyway, I want to try and keep this, you know. I already tried, you know, making a video previously, and I ended up over exceeding the 10 minutes, so I'm just going to stop here, and I'll make another video about this in the future.